My hair is not two different colours, it just looks two different colours because I don't even know why. I've noticed this when I've been editing. I'm thinking I should probably tell people that my hair is not half red and half light blonde, but it looks it, and I don't know. Do I rep this look? I am here to talk about things that really annoy me in arguments. Well, not arguments, but this is the ultimate way to annoy me when you are called out on something. The first one is, I am not perfect. Now, I am not perfect should be banned from being used in like as a comeback because it's just such a bad comeback. You call someone out on something and then they go, I'm not perfect, and it's like water is fucking wet. The sky is blue, the grass is green. Like if you were perfect, I wouldn't be calling you out on stuff, would I? Like, let's be honest. Somebody who was perfect would not have to say that they're not perfect. Why are you stating the obvious? Like, what is this thing where people feel that they can just exclaim that they're not perfect and then everything will be fine? Like, no, I'm not perfect is a cop out way of saying that I was wrong, but I just can't admit it. I hate it. I feel like, why say it? It's just, no, not, I am not perfect. I am wrong and I can't admit it. I'm wrong and I don't want to admit it. Most of the time, that is what people mean when they say I'm not perfect. Nobody said you were perfect. Nobody wants you to say that you are perfect. I don't think you are perfect. Why are you telling me this? Like, this is irrelevant to anything. Obviously, there are some situations where I'm not perfect is like a fine thing to say, like when you're just exclaiming in general that you're not perfect. Well, you probably don't need to, but there we go. If someone says, oh, you're perfect, and you say, I'm not perfect, then yeah, that's a valid thing to say. But when you say something and then excuse it by saying that you're not perfect, or do something horrible and then excuse it by saying you're not perfect, that's just lame. Like, really lame. Like, ultimately lame. Like, the lamest thing that you could do. The other thing is, when people go, you're always right. Right, okay. There's a difference between somebody always being right and someone not being able to ever admit to fault. So, yeah, you can never admit to fault, I get. But you are always right is just, why are you saying that? I don't know. I feel like these are both cop out phrases, aren't they? Like, come on. For a start, if somebody's right, why are you attacking them for it? Secondly, genuinely, what is wrong with always being right? Like, if somebody is always right, what is wrong with that? Like, why is that an attack? If someone can never admit to fault, that's different. But if someone is always right when they make a point, that's not really a bad thing. That's not something you should attack someone over. That's not something to be ashamed about. The other thing is somebody thinking that they're right as well. That's not a bad thing. Like, if I say something based on my own morality, based on what I believe is right, and then someone goes, "Well, you're always right," and it's like, well, yeah, because you can never argue with why I might be wrong. Like, that's why I think I'm right, and I'm pretty sure that if if I say, well, that's not moral or that's not okay to do that, that isn't me being always right. That's just me thinking that it's me abiding by my own morality. Why do we say you are always right like it's an insult, especially to girls? I feel like it's with girls, it gets said a lot. You're a know-it-all, like you insufferable know-it-all kind of shit. Girls are allowed to be right. Girls are allowed to voice their opinion without some person telling them that they must be stupid because they've got blonde hair, or that they must be ugly because they're intelligent, or that they're just being bossy. Like, no, or that they're on their period. That really grinds on me. Like, no, I am angry not because of my period. I'm angry because you're being a wanker. That's why I'm angry. I'm not angry for any other reason. Like, my period does not affect how angry I am. I'm allowed to feel things without being on my period, and I'm allowed to feel things with being on my period. And no, my period doesn't turn me into a monster. But the thing that turns me into a monster is when people are patronising and degrade me because I'm a girl and because I have periods, or because I make a valid point and then get told that I'm always right. Like, no, I'm not always right. Like, I don't believe that I'm always right in any situation. I don't believe that always being right is something that we should be calling people out on. Like, why do people use it as this accusation? There's a difference, a total difference between never admitting to fault and always being right. You can always be right. You can. And why is that a bad thing? Why are you using it against people? Stop using it against people. It's not even a thing that makes any sense. When people take things literally, I can't. When you say something like I'm saying you now, but you is in the context of you in general, like not you, whoever's watching this, personally you. You can be used within two ways, and you is the most irritating thing that somebody can take literally in an argument. When I say you about anything, or in everyday life, when somebody says you, it doesn't mean you, it means in general. It means generally, like the generally, like what the hell else would you say? What? I hate it when people take things that aren't supposed to be taken literally, literally. And how are you supposed to have an intelligent conversation with somebody who takes everything literally? For God's sake. Like here, for example, in this letter it says, you can use your card after the valid from date shown on the front of the card. Well, did they think that they were addressing me, Safi? No. That is a generic letter to people that Santander send new cards to. They're not talking to me directly. Like, my name is on it because I requested a new card, but it's not like somebody sat and typed out the letter for me personally. Now, if you write a letter to your granddad who lives in, I don't know, Morocco, and you say, how are you? You do mean him personally. You mean him personally. But in general, you is not directed at you. Most yous that we say are probably not even in the context of the person that you're talking to. I just, taking things literally really, really annoys me. Really annoys me. Why? Why? Like, how do you not know standard English? How do you not know that some things are supposed to be taken literally? And people who don't get sarcasm, they annoy me too. Like, not all people who don't get sarcasm, but in general, when you're sarcastic and if somebody doesn't get it, and you just feel like my words were wasted on you. My words were really wasted on you. The other thing that annoys me as well, and I keep just adding bits, but the other thing that really annoys me is when people are too stupid to actually insult. That idea that you lose an argument just because the other person is not intelligent enough to understand your point. And like, you have won the argument, but because you can't get them to see that you've won it, you've lost it. And it's like, you know that GIF or whatever the hell you want to call it, like of Gerard Way saying you're too stupid to insult. Like that is how I feel, especially online with people like, or just in daily life, like, oh my god, the amount of, like, there are 7 billion people in the world, and it is worrying how many of those people are just not cool people. Like, it's very worrying that so many people are so horrible, and it does feel like that. Like, I'm not saying everybody's horrible, but it's worrying how many horrible people that you have to meet in a day. Like, I have, whether it's from, like, you know, just rude to just completely being like degenerate, but like there's a scale from rude to degenerate, and you're gonna meet somebody on that scale every single day of your life if you go outside. It's awful. It's awful. I've had these things said to me recently, and I've just, like, that's where this video has stemmed from. I don't know what that was or if it made any sense, but that is my little thought of the day, I guess. If you liked this video, please like it and subscribe. I'm sorry if I keep looking at this part of the screen and not the camera, because I can see myself, and it's really like I just love myself. Like I'm always right. Bye.